Alright, here's a quick update on the Mustang. Been working on trying to get the turbo kit finished since the MSD box is chilling at MSD's facility in Texas. So I've been trying to get all the other stuff done that I don't need the box for. So I'm going to have to get to the fuel tank, or the fuel pump, in-tank pump. Got to get that done. And I'm looking into a different transmission, possibly. Might be going with a Turbo 400, but that's kind of up in the air yet. But here's the updates since the last video. As you can see here, the cold side, this side, intake side here is complete. It's using a 45-degree coupler. Let's find a good angle. 45-degree coupler. Comes down under here, wraps around, worked great. Just comes up into the intake. I'm still going to have to get one of those odd-sized T-bolt clamps that goes on that throttle body because it's a weird size. The intercooler is a little crooked. I'm going to have to slot this hole, and then I can bump this side back and it'll sit square. I don't know why it moved, but it did. I may have pulled on it a little bit. So I'll get that fixed. Here's the crossover pipe, or the merge here. It was made completely out of scrap piping I had laying around. It's just 2.5, I think. No, 2.25. 2.5. And don't mind the welds. This is really my first big welding project. Here you can see, comes down, goes over. And for those guys asking about oil pan clearance, I can show you. Well, do I have anything? Here's a water bottle for size comparison. And I'm sorry about the camera going around everywhere here. Get back down. This is a truck oil pan. And here's a water bottle. This is about the clearance I have. That should be plenty. And that's my power steering pump from the Ford lane here. That's got to come out. Got to find a manual rack. And I'll probably forget that bottle's under here. Okay. Over here, you can see the other side. This one just comes down and comes up here. And used a 2.5 to 3 inch coupler and just cut the merge section out and then beat it to the right shape in the top of the flange and welded it on. There's my wastegate location right there. I'm just gonna have an open dump straight out from under the fender. Here it is from above. Everything's airtight, was cleaned out. Here's the frame that I had to notch to clear the oil return. Since the turbo's sitting right here, the oil return ends up being right here. So that was cut, a large chunk out of it, and just boxed it back in with some plating, welded it up. And then for extra support, since I took so much out, these were welded in behind. This is the bracket here that holds, that the turbo flange is welded to, and that's bolted through the support bracket, or the support bars welded on here, and through the frame rail. It's like probably three layers thick here of frame rail pressed sheet metal, and then this is a good 3/16. That's thick. That's 2 pieces stacked up, and then this is a 1/4 inch piece of bar that I had made the turbo bracket from. That's pretty beefy. And then to get to these, what I'd done is I welded nuts on the other side, on the inside, so these just thread right into the welded nut. My merge here, shooting over. But it came out surprisingly well for my first time doing this sort of thing. I'm very pleased with it. I'm going to have to do something. My dad was telling me about the old street routers, how they have to rig up their radiator lines, coolant hoses. The Mustang radiator hose, upper radiator hose, is no longer going to work. The compressor housing sits right here, so I'm going to have to find something that comes out. Just make something and come over. Actually, I'll probably use something like drain fittings from Lowe's, is what he suggested. And it sounds like it'll work great because the piping outside diameter is just perfect for the inside diameter radiator hose. So I can just use radiator hoses, or radiator hose sections, to couple it together. And then the same thing for the lower down there. I just have a piece of rag stuffed in it. Oh, there it is. Over there. And that's going to come up and into the lower here. I may still get a dual pass radiator. I'm not sure yet. I want to see how it works out. But there's the hot side. I'm waiting on header tape, or exhaust wrap. I'm going to wrap the whole pipe here, and then I'll put up my turbo and weld the I'm going to use 3-inch just because I have a stockpile of piping over here. I have 3-inch right there. I'll use that for the downpipe for now. If I decide that it needs 4-inch, I'll go get a mandrel bend for a 4-inch section of pipe and put that on. I think 3 should be sufficient for the moment. So I got to get the front end of the car back on and make my downpipe. Over here, I decided I'm actually going to put the battery up in the front. I'm just going to make a battery bracket and then make some plates to close up that hole. I am going to have to keep some of it open. I mean, the battery I'm using is huge, so I'll probably make like a box and a section that the battery will sit down in. And then various other things, like I don't think I need my factory Ford alternator wiring anymore, so I'm just going to cut that out. It's going to be the GM one-wire setup. In fact, the bracket is a Corvette alternator bracket. This guy right here. This fits right up here. I actually have to go or make some spacers. It's like 1.5 inches to get the alternator lined up with the crank pulley down there and the water pump pulley. So I have to space the bracket out. That won't be too hard. I'll try and make another video this weekend after all my other stuff gets here. I also have an oil feed line coming, another one. I'm going to use a union fitting, couple them together, and then I'm going to route this around the back and run the feed to the turbo right here. I'll just stack 2 of them together. As far as the return, sadly I had the bung welded on the wrong side because I thought I was going to go with the turbo over here, but since it's over here, I'll have to figure out a drain location. But anyway, there it is. If you have any questions or anything, let me know. And I'll try to make another video here in the next few days.